Live, and you can see Lucas, everyone, but you cannot hear him. So let me introduce everyone to us. So welcome to the Empire Builders MasterCast. Lucas, this is So Your Job. The media arm of the Empire Builders Masterclass, which is a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs who want to write, publish books. And I am Honoree Quarter, and I am your host. I help professionals to write, publish, and monetize their books. And here's the truth. If you want to write and publish a book, there are a lot of people who can help you. If you want to write and publish a book that can be monetized, then I am your person. And I'm waiting for my illustrious guest to come. She should be here any minute. So I feel like this is what comedians feel like. Oh, Dana, say something.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Amazing. Amazing. So we've got a really interesting camera set up this time. And Dana, that was Lucas. He's gone. There we go. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I am fantastic. I'm quite cold. I just was making myself tea because I was like, it is really cold. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, hello to Justin, who's my brother from Ohio. And I'm sorry you're so cold. I'm actually a little chilly in my house, even though I think it's probably 75 degrees outside. We skipped right over spring and went to summer.
How fantastic.
And you live in summer. So how are you cold?
It's not summer anymore. I don't know what happens.
Oh, all right. Okay, here's what I'm trying to do. So, Justin, is this the right way for my camera or was the other way the right way? You'll have to tell me. I'm not sure.
You look fantastic.
Awesome. Well, he does these great things where he creates shorts out of our videos.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "You know what? You just don't look at the camera enough. Your camera's flipped." And so now I never know, is it the way it was supposed to be or is it the way it is supposed to be? I'm not really sure, but I have to say I'm so excited to have this conversation with you about having a thriving business using Feng Shui or with Feng Shui. And I think that there are some people that are going, really? Are you sure? So I want you to introduce yourself and then I want to tell everyone how I discovered you, how I became a stalker and then a student and then a friend.
Yes.
In that
I
order.
think that's so awesome. I guess what's really important to say at the beginning, my name is Dana. Hello, everyone. I would start by saying if you're using traditional feng shui, maybe it's not. It will help you have rules that you can follow to
Yeah.
set up your workspace and things like this. But
Yeah.
the specific way that I work with feng shui is more of an entire lifestyle practice.
Yeah.
It's really understanding all of the principles, these core ancient principles that have been part of life, Eastern and Western life for many people, and just philosophy for thousands of years. And really understanding the depth of being able to tap into the power of nature, of your true nature, and to manifest more, not in even in a spiritual way. We could say in a spiritual way, but really in a
Right.
practical way, because
Yes.
everything that you do is a part of you. It's a reflection of you. And
Right.
everything in your environment is a reflection of you. And so when
Right.
you start working with that, I love how you always say it's like taking all the spiritual stuff, all the practical stuff, and bringing them together. And that to me is sort of the ultimate idea, the energies around you, and then also your contribution in what you show up with and do and say and place and think about, that's going to ultimately fuel what you do. And I had this wonderful, I was just in Utah, I had this wonderful dinner with someone who'd never heard of feng shui. And he said, it's like you're bathing in your environment. And I was like, yup. And would you want to bathe in clutter, or would you want to bathe in chaos, or would you want to
Right.
bathe in joy and happiness and fun. And so
Right.
that is the underlying principle. And I've been doing this for 2 decades now. I developed this method. I developed it for fun. It was a passion of mine. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder what this could become. And then it was like, oh my gosh, it became something so much different and cooler than I ever could have imagined. So that's how we're here.
And that's an understatement for sure. Well, I do want you to share your origin story, but I want to talk about I want to talk a little about my origin story with Feng Shui. It actually started when I had a home in Las Vegas, outside of Las Vegas, where I was living. And a friend called me and she said, I'm supposed to host this Feng Shui workshop in my house, but I'm unable to. Would you be able to do it? And the woman who is doing the Feng Shui will Feng Shui your house, give you some suggestions. And I was neither a believer or a non-believer. I knew I had heard of Feng Shui, but I knew absolutely nothing about it other than I had lived in Hawaii. And there are a lot of Asian folks living in Hawaii, and they would always say, oh, that's bad Feng Shui or good Feng Shui. And you know me, I'm very positive facing. I'm an optimist, right? So whenever someone says something is bad, I'm always like, no. And so I kind of went into the weekend going, yeah, okay, sure. We'll host the workshop. She'll make some suggestions. I'm always open to learning. So I was at least open to it. And we have the Feng Shui weekend. She's basically like, here are things you can do. Here's the bagua. Your countertops have too much stuff on them. You've got too much chaos and clutter. If you cleared all that stuff off, that would be better. You only have one nightstand. You're single. You might want to have 2 nightstands and 2 lamps. And you may want to hang some gold curtains, because my bedroom, my master bedroom at the time, was in the wealth bagua, the wealth corner of the house. So of course, I don't know how to hang a curtain. But I'm like, I'm all in, right? So I'm running down to the furniture store and I'm buying the table that's the same height as the bed. I'm getting another lamp. I'm putting coins in a dish on that thing. I hang my gold curtains. I'm all about it, Dana. Like, I'm like, okay, purple is the color of wealth. I'm going to get a purple blanket to go over my white bedding. I'm all about it. Clean up all the clutter. 6 months later, I've met my husband. I've tripled my income. I've legitimately done, my doingness is nothing different. I'm not talking to more people. I'm not making more asks. I'm not doing anything different. And I was like, well, this is really just interesting. Somehow the universe brought you to me, and I start following you. And the first thing that strikes me about what you say is that there is no bad. There is no bad feng shui. It's your intention rules everything. So it's the intention behind it. And you can set the intention that maybe having a ceiling fan is a poison arrow or whatever it's called in traditional feng shui, but you can just bless your ceiling fan and still be cool at night. Right. And so you don't have to worry about all these things. And so just one more little brief, like, echo to my history. I had tried at one time to take an online class at in an organization, and my teacher was very cranky about the fact that I'm a busy professional and I didn't have time to attend all the classes and turn in my homework. And so they were very cranky with me. And they were like, if you're not going to keep up with the coursework. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I'm not ever going to do this professionally. I just love to learn, and I'm very curious about this, and I want to learn at a very deep level. Well, you can't come. You're dead to me, right? Cuts me out of the class. So when I find out about the School of Intention, which I want everyone to learn about today, I had messaged you and said, I really want to be a student in the School of Intention, but I'm a busy professional, so I got cash money. So I'll pay you. But if you're going to be cranky pants about whether I attend every class and I do every activity, and you are going to take away my soup at the end and not give me any soup and say, no soup for you, come back next time, then I can't be a student. And you were so gracious, and you were like, oh my gosh, no, of course, please join this school. I would love to have you. This is amazing. And of course, secretly in my mind, I was like, she's so cool. I want to be friends with her. So that actually came true. But I want to tell one more piece, and then I want you to tell your story and then talk about what I'm going to share. And that is what I call the list. So I have this list of things that you talk about in the very beginning of the school. And the school, just for anyone who is watching, I've been through the school in one way or another every year since I joined. So it's been 3 or 4 years since I have gone. I have read all of the content at least once. You give so much material and insight and information, but in your own brilliant way, where you're just going to keep at it and keep learning, and there's always another level and you can't do it wrong. And so I remember the very first time I tune in to the very first class, and I remember you saying something to the effect of, you are cause and not effect. And if you want anything to happen, you must get grounded, centered, and connected. And then you gave this list of things. So at the time, I have no paper other than my journal. And so I start writing down all the things that you say to do. And I have this list. And at the time, I was living in a space where my office was this wide and I had a wall. And I took another piece of paper and I wrote down the list. And it's like, um, sweep and mop your floors, light some Palo Santo, wash your mirrors and your glass, take out the trash, wash your car, wash your front door, wash the inside and outside of the front door, and then watch what happens. Now, all the time people call me because I'm the money, right? I'm H money, and they call me and they go, I have my book. I want to sell more books. I want to make more money. And I will always say, your energy is not grounded, centered, or connected. So it's either frantic, frenetic, unproductive, whatever. And so I'll go, I'm going to send you a list of things. And these are the things you need to do first before you do anything else, because whatever energy you're putting out in is what you're going to get back. So you need to get grounded, centered, and connected before, please, for the love of all that's holy, before you talk to any other person on earth, right? And so I have many, many times sent this list to people and have gotten the response, something along the lines of, are you freaking kidding me with this? I thought you were going to tell me I need to call 10 people an hour. You need to do this, that, and the other thing. And so I'd love for you to talk about how you came to Feng Shui and how it came to you, and then how you feel about this concept of being cause and not effect and getting grounded, centered, and connected. And then we have a whole bunch of places to go, but I wanted to make sure to mention that you and I are both very practical people. And you have married, I always say I'm woo woo and practical, and I marry it together, which you mentioned. So please take it away and kind of fill in the gaps for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, I love your initial experience. I think that's so beautiful. And part of and I remember your email, I literally remember it. And I remember getting back like Honoree's busy right now and she won't get back to you, like response when I sent you the message back saying, sure, of course you can join. I started doing this work accidentally. I think if you look at pretty much why anyone's doing what they're doing, that they're really passionate about in some way, shape, or form, they didn't think about it. They didn't think it up. You didn't think, gee, I'm going to be doing all of this stuff. You were just like, I'm going to do this thing that sounds really great. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And there you have it. And so I was in LA, I was working in the arts, I was doing tons of wellness. I was working so hard to optimize myself. I felt broken. I felt like I've seen actually Dr. Amen, who's an incredible brain doctor, has talked about this, how other people aren't necessarily ahead of you if you feel like people are more aligned or they think like they have it all together. You just might have had more trauma to work through. And so you're like catching up. I couldn't understand that at the time, that I grew up with a ton of trauma that I was trying to process. And instead, I thought, I'm a doer, I'm an achiever. I just graduated from Stanford. I'm coming to Los Angeles and I'm going to make myself the best person I can possibly be. And it was all here. It wasn't in my body. It wasn't in my mind. It was like, I can make anything happen in my head. And this was a big focus, something that I counter a ton, because so many of us have been sort of hardwired for achievement here, and not in the rest of our self, not really embodying that energy. And so I found every, if there was someone, the best healer in the world, the best coach person in the world, the best philosophy, the best anything, any guru of anything, I was doing, I would be at a yoga class at 7 o'clock in the morning, a yoga class at 8 o'clock at night. I would be in this, I would be in that. I was like, anything I can do.
You were doing.
And do. But from this horrible place of, at one point, I'm going to, and I hear this a lot when people talk about money blocks, like at one point I'm going to do enough of whatever modality that I'm going to be free of money blocks. It's like, there's really no such thing. And there's no such thing as ever being cleansed of everything that's ever happened to you in your life. You just look at it differently over time. I didn't know that. So I just went for it really hard. And when I say, like, I came to Hollywood and hit rock bottom, people imagine I was partying or I was doing things. Like, no, I was doing rainbow diets and cleanses and you name it. Like, I was doing everything wellness, and I wound up in the hospital from wellness, and that was ironic considering my position in the world right now, but it was a giant learning lesson. And I wound up at home. I was diagnosed with like an autoimmune thing. I honestly think I was just literally torturing myself. And after weeks of getting out of the hospital, I sat in my house and I was like, I don't really have a home. It looks like I basically just moved in here. I never unpacked. I was always out. I was always doing something. I was never connected to anything. And so I looked around and I was like, okay, this time I have nothing to lose. I don't even know, I had $100,000 worth of medical bills at this point. I was like, I have nothing to lose. I have everything to gain. I am going to create my life in a way that makes me happy. And I was like, and I looked around and I was like, I cannot function in the way I've been living. So what am I going to do? And my immediate thing was, I've heard about Feng Shui. Let me hire someone. And I was like, that's what got me in trouble in the first place. I can't do that. And I had read some books. I got some books because I was thinking something needs to change in my space. And I was looking and I saw some tips and I was like, okay, I could do this, I could do that. And I was like, there's got to be something more. And so I found a place where I could study. They sent me 3 3-ring binders in the mail. This was like early days, 20 years ago. My certification, I always joke about it, was 3 3-ring binders that were sent to me in the mail along with a couple of books. And I was like, I just spent almost $3,000 on 3 3-ring binders and a couple of books.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was a little
Let's
stuck.
do it.
I read it. I got into it. And I have to say, it was like fine. It was fine for someone who didn't want to do anything professionally, but I just felt like this can't be it. It can't just be the stuff that I've read in all these other books. There's got to be something more to this, that it's so magical. And I was feeling better. And I was really, because I had such a background, and I want to just say this, all the personal growth and wellness and things that I did, they were all wonderful. They were all, I mean, it was, you and I both have this like deep education, like full on, like immersive education and all these different philosophies. Correct. And living them. And I'm not saying anything I did was bad that put me in the hospital. My head and my intention to, look at life from a place of being broken and do these things in a really bizarre way to myself with no sense of grounded, centered, and present were really, really what did it for me. Yeah. And so anyway, I just thought there was more. And so I started playing around with, I had nothing to lose, with what would happen if instead I did it this way. So I set up my own house, my own way. And then I started just playing around with these concepts. And after a few years, it was early days of Tumblr, the very first blogging platform. And my friends were big Tumblers, and they were like, here's a Tumblr. I think it was 2006 or 7. And I was like, great. So I started this micro blogging just for fun because I had a job now. I was back. I was building my health, when I did this feng shui for myself, I did the same thing. My whole life turned upside down. I was 150 grand negative, close to that. And then I was 150 grand positive. And I was like, I've never done that before in my life. How did I do that? What's
Yeah.
going on here? And it was not just that, it was the healing and it was the understanding and it was moving through life with a sense of presence. And then I had this seed of fascination. But I'm from a place, I'm from New Jersey. I'm from a very practical place in New Jersey where, you know, you don't do weird stuff for a living. Like you do something. I didn't think,
You
gee,
better be a lawyer or something.
yeah, I'm not
Get
going to
it
do
together,
this. This
Dana.
is not my career.
Yeah.
I'm going to just have fun with this. And so in my nights and weekends and breaks, I was doing my little Tumblr posts and talking about different ideas. And I was getting all this interest from people asking me, can I hire you? And I was like, well, no,
No, I have a job.
I'll work on your place for free if you give me some feedback. And I used it as an opportunity to work with countless numbers of people, testing out these ideas that I had to see, would it work? I mean, I wasn't thinking, gee, I'm going to create my own method. I was like, I just wonder what will happen. And I told everyone and talk about, you know, people say it's the placebo effect. It was like, nah, I was going in saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's do this. And so I wasn't like, this is going to change your life. Trust me.
No, you were like, let's try it and see.
And, you
Yeah.
know, when people aren't paying money, they're like, sure, let's try it and see. And they knew what happened. A lot of people knew what happened for me. And so they were like, yeah, okay, let's see. And I started to understand over the course of a few years. And this is why I think it's so interesting. People think it's like, oh, I have an idea. And then I just created a methodology by taking a bunch of courses. And I'm like, no, like, I don't think that, how would you ever know that it worked? Like,
Right.
you really have to live it.
Well,
And so that was it. I just took off and it got to a place where I had a client in New York. I had all these clients, but no one was paying me. And
perfect.
she looked at me and she looked at her checkbook and she was like, what am I paying you? And I was like, oh, you don't have to pay me. And she was like, no. And she's one of the, like, sort of the founding, she's like the founder of the business aspect of my business, because she basically forced me to take money and she forced me to recognize that this wasn't just my passion project or my hobby, that this was something I was supposed to be doing, that I wasn't supposed to be doing my job or my, you know, whatever other job I had. Like, this was it.
So for someone who's watching and they are someone who's perhaps followed me and they don't know what feng shui is, how would you describe or define feng shui today?
The art and science for me, the art and science of designing both your home and your life, because they're interconnected, in the most optimal way for you, not in the most optimal way for rules, not in the most optimal way for what someone thinks according to a compass or astrology of some sort or anything else.
Yeah.
For you
Yeah.
as a creative being. And my whole philosophy on all of this, there's three principles that I've really come to see define this work. One is infinite possibilities. There are no rules. You create them. And my whole goal is to help people leaning in to more infinite possibilities. And the second piece is creative awakening, because what you said, that list, grounded, centered, connected, what gets you grounded, centered, and connected is ultimately going to make you more creative, right?
Right. Yes, 100%.
And creativity, in my mind, is really what manifestation is. It's not something that can be quantified. You can
Right.
approach it from all these different fun games and tricks and things and beautiful, powerful visualizations, but ultimately, it's creativity.
Right.
And then finally, your intention.
Yeah.
And what I found most interesting in even in my experimentation before I started doing this work was so many people want things, but they're not really truly clear about what they want to do, what they want to make, what they want to do. And we talked about cause versus effect. Some
Yeah.
people say, I want more money. That's very general, or even I want a certain amount of money. And it's like, great. You don't have to know how. You don't have to know how it's going to get to you. You don't know how it's going to arrive, but you need not just a clear sense of what it is you want, but what you want to actually live into. Intention, I think, is often thought of as a wish or a dream, but
Mm.
intention, as it's defined in a dictionary, is like literally a way of living, like a way of focusing your energy fully towards something. It's an active principle, not like just I made a list or
Mm.
making a list is wonderful, but that's not
Right.
really what intention is. So I really consider this to be a lifestyle practice, and it's something that you can customize to what you do, and
Yeah.
it gives you other dimensions. I often say home is the untapped source of power. Like, we have some clue, and I know your audience for sure knows about working with mindset, knows about working, physically being
Yeah.
in the best shape, mind, body, spirit, however you define that as well.
Right.
But space is like this giant elephant in the room. It's everywhere around you, but no one knows how to work with it.
And it's an afterthought. It's like
Yep.
I've gotta clean the house as opposed to I'm gonna make my environment suit me. And it was interesting because once I understood balance and getting grounded, centered, and connected and recognizing in myself first and foremost, right? Because when I'm doing this, I'm pointing 3 back this direction, recognizing that when I was grounded and centered and calm and all of the things, and when I wasn't, and I would go, "Oh, I have to do all these things," the results they never come. It's when I go, "I'm just gonna let go and trust. We're just gonna." That's when all of the good things happen. But also then figuring out and working in with you in the school of intention about um, getting very clear that there are infinite possibilities, that what I want comes from me, not to me, right? And then being creative in the space. I think I probably make my husband and those around me a little bonkers when I'm like, but that's not the best feng shui. Not it's bad feng shui, but it's like, that's not the best feng shui. Like clutter and all of that stuff, because I live in a very small space, it's very fast to be cluttered. It can also be very fast to be uncluttered, but I think I drive them a little bonkers because I'm like, well, I think I want some more abundance, or I want a new client or something. And so I'm like, where's the broom? No one else would ever go. Like, I'm gonna go clean the front door. And when we lived in that high rise, when I first started in the school and you were like, wash the front door, I had the cleanest door of anyone on the hallway. And my neighbors are walking by and I'm spraying the door down and washing the door. But I can 10 times cite actual business that has come through the door because I said, I've already done everything I need to do in terms of following up with people. So there's the practical side, which is if someone says that they want to do business with me, 9.5 times out of 10, they'll do business with me when I follow up and go, hey, Dana, do you want to do a book, or do you want to do this, or do you want to do that? Sometimes they are incoming. Sometimes they just go, hi, I heard I want to do this with you. Send me your contract. I'm going to wire you some money. But generally speaking, it happens when I've checked all the boxes and I've done, okay, I've already done all that stuff. I can't just call them again today. I called them yesterday and I go, honey, let's go clean the garage. Or I'm going to sweep the front porch. I'm going to, get a new welcome mat or clean the welcome mat. I'm going to put my 9 quarters in a red envelope under the welcome mat. It's like, why is this here? Just go with it. Right? I'm doing all the things. And then the next thing I know, I have an email in my inbox or I have a voicemail. And when I try to explain that to people, at first they say something to the effect of, "Are you freaking kidding me?" But I remember one time specifically, I said, I'm going to send you a list of something. I'm going to send a screenshot of something and I want you to trust me. And the call I got back was literally, but the real word, "Are you kidding me with this?" And I said, "I'm not." And he's like, "So I just have to go wash my car." Real sarcastic. I just like, like, no, you don't have to do it. But I think that it might be an easier way than what you're doing, because where you're living in your head and in your body right now seems to be very ineffective, because you're saying you need money and you don't have money. So why don't you just do my list? Why don't you just for giggles, prove me wrong? Goes, does the list, calls me and says, "Oh, sure, this is not related, but I just got a $20,000 check in the mail." Like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure it's completely unrelated to this." 2 months later, calls me and like, "Don't tell me to do that list again. I think you should do that list again." This time gets $50,000. And it had been coming for 2 years, the $50,000. And I just said, "Well, how do you feel now?" I'm a believer. I'm just going to do the list. I'm just going to do the list. And it's just the screenshot of that list. So if anybody wants to see the list, leave a comment and I'll put a copy of the list. But that was just the beginning. That's just so interesting, is when I recognize that I need to stop doing and start being more. Or as our mentor, our mutual mentor now, Dr. Catherine Ponder, says, success can be as much as 98% inner preparation and 2% outer action. I'm like, sweet, because the 2% is me going to the mailbox to get the check. Right?
That is the
So
best part.
that's the best part. And so if you want to work hard and you want to be stressed and you want to have fear in your belly and you want to do all those things, please knock yourself out. But there's an easier way. And make no mistake, both Dana and I work very hard, but I don't know, I can't speak for you, Dana. I'll let you speak for yourself, but I feel like I really don't work. I feel tired at the end of the day. Writing the words is a challenge, and doing interviews is a challenge, and meeting people is a challenge, and making sure that books are perfect is a challenge. But I'm not laying bricks. I'm not shoveling snow. Right? So I don't know how you feel about it, but I'll take my 2% outer action of what I get to do for a living that I absolutely love and I'm blissed out about, as opposed to the other thing. And before you answer how you feel about it, I just want to give a shout out to Kusar, and I think it's Kawani. So I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. You wanted to get a shout out for your channel. I don't know what your channel is, but we're giving you a shout out. And then Priscilla on LinkedIn, I will post a photo of the list. But here's what I'm going to say about the list before I turn it back over to Dana. And that is that the list is just the beginning of all of the cool, magical things that you can do that bring abundance to your door. And maybe you say your perspective on it and then circle back to abundance does not have to come through any specific channel. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the more powerful things that I've learned. And I just want to say something, like Honor and I really got to know each other because you were sort of in and out of the school in terms of being like in the daily thing. You're always working, but you would always pop in and you would always ask questions. You would always be sharing your experiences. And I was like, yay, that's awesome. And then we got together once and just sort of brainstormed a bunch of stuff. We met in LA, you came to LA,
yeah,
and then we brainstormed a lot of stuff. And I was like, wow, I really look to you as like the person who personifies doing and living instead of talking about and trying things. Like you really live it. You really live what you say. I could say that consistently over the years. If I am like, what is it that I need to do? I'm like, I bet Honoree would know. Like, I bet she
Thank
would
you.
have a reminder for me. And it's so exciting because like there are few people I know who are that completely committed. And I have a handful of them who are just like, okay, yeah, things are not perfect right now, but they're perfect. And, it's really
Yeah.
coming at everything from that place of being willing to take the leap. I guess the faith part of it is taking the leap, just that you are able to create things. That's the only leap that you need to take. You don't need to take a
Right.
leap that, purple brings you money or this does this or blah, blah, blah.
Right. Right.
The only leap you have to take is that trust and faith in yourself, that you are actually the generator of things. And when
Yeah.
I've noticed, in terms of action versus inaction, if I'm in my head, I might as well not do anything. I'd rather sit and watch a movie. I'd rather take a nap. I'd rather go for a walk than be ineffective and just like
Yeah.
randomly sending things out because I'm supposed to be
Right.
working.
Right.
And
Right.
I say this to a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh, you have the luxury of having all these years and this audience and this stuff." And I'm like, "No, it's the reason why I have these things." And I think there
Yeah.
was a blessing in setting up what I set up, not intending for it to be a business. I had a very
Right.
leisurely sense about it. It was all about fun. Everything I did was
Yeah.
fun. I never felt like any of those hours were work. I mean,
No.
not many people are like, oh, yeah, I'm in my, I just turned 30. It's like the weekend and I'm spending all my time blogging and like sending out a newsletter. And
Yeah.
people were like, why don't you come out? Why don't you do this? I'm like, I have to go to this guy's house. Maybe I'll see you later. It was just kind of obsessed with it, and it never was like, "I've
Well,
gotta sacrifice." Like,
isn't
I
that but isn't that when it works?
Yeah.
Dina, is when you let go and say, I'm not going to send one more email. I'm not going to call one more person because I'm not feeling like I'm on fire. And I mean
Yep.
that in a good way, right? I'm not I call it my taxi light is on. Like I'm open for business, right? I say this to my single girlfriends. I'm like, turn your taxi light on. Like let everybody know you're open for business, right? So if so as feng shui pertains to business, are you on? Are you a magnet for things that you want to come to you? And if you don't feel magnetized, then other people do not feel magnetized to you. Let us face that. When you feel in that place where you are not really excited, I wake up and I'm like, I'm really excited. What am I excited about? Right? Kind of like going to a motivational seminar where you go and you get all excited and Monday you're like, I'm excited, but I don't know what to do with my excitement. I just wake up and I'm excited. I woke up this morning at 4:15 and I was like, I get to talk to Dana today. I get to do this today. I get to do that today. I wake up excited and happy. And so it's logical then that things work. So it's not the luxury of having the opportunity to do it. It's you don't have the luxury of a negative thought or a negative vibration. You don't have that time or energy to waste. So please don't waste your time and energy that way, right? And then when your energy is lower because if you haven't meditated or eaten or slept or exercised or whatever, your energy is going to be low. So go off and do those things and you exponentially increase the likelihood that things are going to happen. But I think because you did it in the spirit of fun, that's probably why it worked.
Mhm.
And because you've kept that and you've said, look, there is no wrong feng shui. Your intention trumps everything. So yay. So just set an intention. And then by the way, sweep and mop your floors, take out your trash, get things organized, declutter something, even if it's just I have this desk that goes up and down and I don't know who the desk is huge and the drawers are like this big. So it's like sometimes I'm like, all right, well, I can be really successful in 30 seconds because I can take the drawer that needs to be straightened and straighten it in 30 seconds and it's in order.
That's
Right. And
amazing.
so it's like this is my contribution to putting energy in order. And sometimes you need to just take an entire day and go, I'm going to go clean my closet. I'm going to go clean my drawers. I'm going to straighten things. I'm going to get rid of things that don't make me feel amazing, and then watch what happens. But money, abundance, and business, clients, customers, and those things, they do not represent all of where money can come to you from. Money does not come, it comes from people, but it doesn't come from people. It comes through people, if that makes sense. So when you
Yeah.
recognize you can go do all of these things and you can talk to a whole bunch of people, but if you're not energized, if you're not magnetized, they aren't going to want to do business with you. They're going to go, something isn't right about that, or that doesn't feel right. What I loved about your method is that you didn't make anything wrong.
There's
There's
nothing
nothing,
wrong.
there's
I mean, how
nothing
could
wrong.
it be? How
Yeah.
could it be? I used to hear people when I would tell people I did this, they would start going through a laundry list. I'd be like out somewhere at a dinner and someone would be like, "Oh, I heard the toilet and this and that, and you can't have your bathroom here and you can't have this here and you can't." And I was like, "Wow, you just heard like so many bad things
That's right. No
that
wonder you don't want to do it.
I
Right?
know, and I was
Yeah.
like, gosh, it's so scary. I've worked with people who've been told, you have to close down this room in your house and throw a blanket over the door, and you've got to do this, and you can't face this direction, or you're going to get divorced. And I was like, I feel so bad for I
Right.
feel it's one of my missions why I love sharing this so much. I feel so bad for people who've
Yes.
had this like massive weird negativity just thrown upon them, because it really is sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy when an expert or you read
Right. That's
something's
right.
wrong and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't know anything was wrong before I read it, and now all I can think
Right.
is
Right.
something's wrong,
Right.
something's wrong.
Right.
And so once you start that process, and this is really important for anyone reading feng shui tips online or anything else, once you start believing that things are bad or wrong, which they aren't, unless your house is physically falling apart, unless you have like really like a mold problem, structural damage, poison coming into your house, an insect infestation, nothing is bad or wrong. That's it.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
configuration of your house or direction that you stand or anything else that
Right.
is bad or wrong or stopping you from living your fullest potential. And
Yep.
if you could start with that baseline, anything is possible. And this is to me like some of the most important concepts that I could possibly offer,
Wow.
because your home is an extension of your energy field. When you talk about magnetizing and bringing things
Yep.
in, your home is literally an extension of you. So if you think about, how do I optimize myself? How do I do the law of attraction or whatever it is you're thinking? How do I bring more in?
Yeah.
Your home is literally either amplifying your energy
Yep.
or creating sort of like a, I don't want to say it's
Static.
like dark cloud, but
Static.
sort of like
Static.
hanging around, not helping you as it could.
Yeah.
And so you've got this like huge space of expansion just waiting for you to
Yeah.
work with it. And
Yeah.
if you start by looking around your house and going, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, what's that doing to your energy field?
Right.
And so I just want everyone to love and appreciate whatever's going on in their home right now and know it's all for the greatest good. Whenever someone has tons of clutter, I'm like, yes, this is so amazing because you have the greatest opportunity to grow and it's right in front of your face. The
Yep.
beauty of learning to work with your environment. And when people join in the school, a lot of them are doing it for their own personal growth, not just to do their business like Honoree did. Like, she had all this business stuff happen, but you really just joined just for you.
Yep.
And the beauty of seeing what happens when you start deliberately designing space is just mind blowing. And it's
Yes.
so addictive to watch and see what happens.
Yes. And you get to live in that every day. I was thinking about it's feng shui applied is as effortless as going through a drive-through. And I was thinking, like, what's the opposite of that? And the opposite of that is when you move to a new state and you need a driver's license, and they're like, you need 2 forms of ID, and you need, proof of where you live, and you need a utility bill. And it's like, if you go with even one wrong thing, they're like, denied, no soup for you. Come back, come back another time. And so how you don't want to do something that makes you feel bad or wrong. But if you recognize you can get your countertop in order, or you can go through your closet and get rid of things that don't fit you anymore, or you can get rid of magazines or papers that don't serve you, and you can start to bring yourself into order, then that follows into my favorite part, which is that 2% outer action, right? So the 98% inner preparation, the 2% outer action is then having that email come in and someone says, okay, I want to work with you. I'm ready. Or you sell something, right? You have courses, I have courses, we have books, all the things. And so just like it just comes, money just comes. Someone will send a check and just say, thank you for referring this business to me. People think that abundance or business or money is connected to something directly, but it's connected to you energetically. Mostly that's what I found. And that sounds very esoteric, but the practical part is, if your car's a mess, go to the car wash and clean it out, vacuum it out, wash out your car, and thank your car for getting you there and back safely. And your home is protecting you from bugs and storms and strangers. I don't know. What's your house protecting you for? So be grateful to your house for providing shelter and a safe place for you to be, and be grateful for it. And what I thought you were going to say when you said you see someone who has a lot of clutter and you're like, yes, what I like to tell people is that every single thing that you see around you was once money.
Yep.
You think you're in lack, but look at all of the things around you that you needed to use money to purchase, or someone needed to use money to purchase, and now you have it. And so when you are grateful, it's like, thank you to this desk, and thank you to this computer, and thank you to this microphone, and thank you for this tree for providing oxygen. So when you can get into a place of gratitude and you can expand that, then abundance comes to you from all points of the universe. It doesn't have to come through one channel or 2 channels. It can come in big and small amounts, and bigger amounts over time, faster and more often. The more in alignment you get, the more grounded, centered, and connected you get, and the more that you lean into this work. So while it might sound like Feng Shui is something where if you're not facing east and you don't have a red door and blah, 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 then you're doing it wrong. It's like, you can't do it wrong. You just do it. Just have fun with it and play with it and watch the abundance that it brings. I want to say, Priscilla says, yes, it can be so exciting to learn what our home energy can do for us. All we have to do is nurture our space. Welcome, Priscilla. This is the first time I think that I know that you've been watching. So I'm so glad that you're here. Dana, talk about the School of Intention and the school and the curriculum. And you said a lot of people join it not because they're professionals of some kind, so design professionals or energy workers, but just because they want to make themselves better. So just talk about the school, because it is so amazing.
Yeah, it's how I met you, and it's how I've met the most amazing people.
Yeah.
I feel like I wake up every day and I'm like, I still can't believe, and it's been 20 years. I still can't believe I get to do this. Like,
Yeah.
this is such a cool thing that I get
Yeah.
to do every day.
Yeah.
There are people all around the world who are in this community, and they are exceptional. And every
Yeah.
minute I'm like, whoa, this is my life. And in the school, basically, it's a full download of everything that I've learned and I've practiced and I do, um, and also a compilation of so many things that I've learned from people like Honoree, and all of the students like have evolved the work. I always say
Mhm.
the School of Intention is this constantly expanding methodology. It's not done because we're not done. We have to
Right.
evolve. We have to grow. And
Right.
so it's obviously everything you've ever wanted to know about Feng Shui, but through this different lens of infinite possibility, creative awakening, and intention. And as I said, I've calculated roughly 30% of people join for their own personal growth. and then wind up using it in some way, whether they actually decide to do it feng shui or use it in their business or use it in their life
Yes.
beyond just for their own home. And during the whole program, you're doing everything from working on your own energy, working on your own sense of grounded, centered, present, and all of those things beyond,
Yep.
learning every facet and living it. So it's not learning here. This is like a fully embodied practice of
Yep.
everything that you're doing. And that's why people have so much fun. I teach it live. It's the only thing I do live every single year. And because I'm live, if people can be there live, people want to be there live,
Yes, of course.
which makes it really fun and really synergistic. I think every day I get to learn because I learn as I'm sharing everything. I learn from everyone. It's just a group of, it's like a giant mastermind almost, because everyone has such diverse, incredible backgrounds and life
Yep.
experiences. And then, of course, you learn all of the design, all of the things, but also
Right.
things that people I think have never considered before, like really operating from your true nature, working with things like the 5 elements in feng shui to manifest more in your own best ways, optimizing how you move through life,
Yep.
reconceptualizing, and I think for all your authors who really like this, the story of your space.
Right.
And I don't just mean that on a surface level, but like
Right.
the profound levels of ways that your home is communicating with you. If you hire a coach, if you join a mastermind, if you're a part of anything, you
Yep.
want to be surrounded by the best possible people who motivate you. But your home is like your primary first life coach. Your home is your first primary influence. And so if everything around you is kind of not what you want it to be, is that the coach you would hire? You know what I mean? Are you just
Yeah, of
making things
course.
harder?
Yeah.
And so all of this throughout the entirety of the training, and of course, learning how to do the actual consultations, and every bit of everything that we do is, as Honoree said, there's a ton of material, and it's really, there's a ton of practice. The practice is the magic.
Yeah.
And at the end, we do a business training as well, where I go through
Yeah.
how I approach everything, which is super, I believe, super creative and fun and not in your head. And I look at all aspects of business as just like another thing to figure out. Like every time there's new technology, I'm like, there's new opportunities instead of, oh no, I have to learn something. And so it's been really, really fun to not just bring people through the program, but watch people flourish, because you can adapt the work to anything that you're doing. Honoree's brought it into her business in so many
Yeah.
different ways. You can bring it into, there's coaches, there's healers, there are fiction writers who've used this to awaken their creativity on a higher level. Several publishing books during the training, finishing their books during the training, which is really cool.
Yeah.
There have been tons and tons of people from obvious careers like interior design and real
Yeah.
estate that have to do more with home traditionally, and feng shui professionals. But really, the diversity is the people who are in corporate business, the people who are doctors, the people who are in field in tech, who are in fields that you would think were completely unrelated. There is no field unrelated to environment, because it's our home on this planet. And again, it's like the one, it's literally like having a superpower that not a lot of people have, to know how to work with environment, because
Yeah.
we just don't know. I don't think most people watching this have grown up beyond cleaning your room as a punishment perhaps, but cleaning your room or straightening things up or even clearing clutter, have really learned to tap into the power of environment. In some cultures, it's more prominent than others, but for the majority of people that I encounter, it's just like a foreign land.
Yeah. Well, I want to say one of the things I love about you is how smart you are and how kind you are and how open you are. There is not a question I've asked where you've made me feel stupid, and you have such a breadth of knowledge. Y'all, when I say that there is so much information that comes, you got three ring binders. I think your two binders are the equivalent of 75 three-ring binders. I mean, like it's just amazing the amount of information. And in the reading list, I remember ordering every single book and just having this huge stack of books, and of course being very excited to learn it and recognizing I was never going to be able to keep pace with you, even if I could, and if I was a full-time school student. And so the best part of it is that you just do the school over and over again. You just keep opening up the school, inviting more students in. The old students connect with the new students. And then if the school sounds like too much, if you're watching this and you're going, well, I'm not interested in doing something that big, or I don't think that I am, or I'm very busy. I'm in a season of life that I'm very busy. That's okay, because Dana also does the camps, the cash camp, the catalyst camp, the love camp. And there's one more. Who am I forgetting?
Breakthroughs.
The what?
Breakthroughs.
Breakthrough camp. And so there are these 4 camps that she also has available, that, and the investment in the camps, the investment in the School of Intention is no tuition like you would pay to get an education like this anywhere else. It is a fraction of the cost. But the camps are just a few $100s, I think, right?
Yeah.
The individual camps, and she opens them up. And so if you want more cash, you take the cash camp. If you want more love, you do the love camp. If you want more breakthroughs, you do the breakthrough camp. And if you want to catalyze your life, you do the catalyst camp, or you just do what I do, is I just follow along on all of them, and I get the emails and I just check in and go, where am I not practicing? What could I do more practice in my very busy, already completely occupied life? So there are all sorts of opportunities. And how I discovered Dana was magical, but also through her blog. So fengshuimagical.com or fengshuidana.com are the URLs. And so you can just go in and read and start to just get a sense of that it's infinite positive possibilities. It's all coming from you, and all you have to do is catalyze it. All you have to do is just begin. And, as I said to my original friend who was like, this is crazy, you're crazy, as I was like, prove me wrong. Just go ahead and try dusting, mopping, sweeping, taking out the trash, getting things organized. Give yourself the opportunity to rest and rejuvenate, and see if on the other side of that, in 10 minutes or 10 days or 10 weeks, you don't feel and notice more abundance and more love and more opportunity coming to you. So, Dana, I just want to thank you so much, because I started as a stalker because I found you and I was like, I'm obsessed with all this information. She's fabulous. And then you let me into the school. So thank you for letting me be a student. And then finally you gave in and we became friends, which when I came out to LA, when my client called me and said, would you come to LA and do um a class for us, my number one reason for saying yes was because I would get to meet you in person. And I will never forget you coming to meet with me, and we went to this raw food place and it was fantastic, and we just had the best time. And y'all, her skin in person, she is the most breathtaking person, and she is as sweet and kind and smart as she is here. And I just encourage you to get to know her, lean into her methodology and apply it to your life, and recognize and see for yourself how easy things can be, how you can just take a deep breath and relax and know that everything is well. So Dana, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you so much. I just want to say, if I look around my house, there are so many things, so many books, so many things around me, so much stuff that has come through Honoree. And so you are definitely a part of my home. And I'm so grateful to be able to be here. And if people have questions, feel free to leave them below, tag me. At the Tao of Dana, TheTaoOfDana, so I see them, and I will answer all your questions. Anything you
Awesome.
need.
And I will, once we're finished, I will go and add some links, including to a link to the School of Intention, a link to the blog, a link to all the things below in each of the platforms where this has been played. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Kawani. Thank you, Kauser. Thank you, everyone who didn't say hi or leave a question. We just so appreciate you watching now and in the future, and have a wonderful, blessed day. And thank you so much.
Thank you.